Listen, while some guy on Instagram is dropping 3 grand on a tactical survival kit that looks like it was designed for Navy SEALs invading Mars, you could walk into any Walmart right now with 40 bucks and walk out with items that'll keep you alive longer than his entire collection of anodized aluminum nonsense. The collapse won't care about your gear's Teflon coating or how many Molly attachment points your backpack has. It'll care about whether you can purify water, start fire in the rain, close a wound, and not die from something stupid like an infected blister. Here's what nobody tells you about survival preparation. The difference between making it and not making it often comes down to understanding chemistry, physics, and human physiology well enough to see potential where others see trash. The 7 items I'm about to walk you through aren't sexy. They won't make you look like you're about to parachute into a war zone. But each one represents a concentration of utility so dense that calling them cheap feels like calling a Swiss Army knife just a blade. Let's start with something sitting in the pharmacy aisle that most people associate with chapped lips and diaper rash: petroleum jelly. That translucent goop costs about $2 for a container that'll last you months. You've probably got some in your bathroom cabinet right now, slowly gathering dust next to expired medications and hotel shampoo bottles you'll never use. In a collapse scenario, this stuff becomes compressed potential energy you can hold in your hand. But the real reason it might keep you walking when everyone else collapses isn't fire. It's what happens on day 19. First, ignition. Petroleum jelly doesn't burn the way you think. It vaporizes into a flammable gas that burns with intense, sustained heat. Pack a cotton ball until it's saturated and you've created a flame that lasts 3 to 4 minutes, even in wind and light rain. The jelly slowly releases fuel while the cotton gives its surface area, so you're not desperately nursing a spark while your hands go numb. The hydrocarbons deliver serious energy density. That's the physics at work. Now the part that turns useful into life-saving. Day 19 of walking, your feet are swollen. Every step feels like broken glass grinding into raw meat. You still got 8 miles before you reach anything resembling safety. 1 infected blister and you're done. Immobilized, exposed, waiting for dehydration or worse to finish the job friction started. Petroleum jelly on pressure points creates a microscopic lubricating layer that stops skin from tearing itself apart. This isn't comfort, this is operational capability. The same molecular barrier displaces moisture to prevent rust on tools and weapons, weatherproofs matches, lubricates stiff mechanisms, removes tar from skin, and even slows heat loss on exposed flesh in deep cold. 1 small jar covers fire, first aid, tool maintenance, and weatherproofing. 4 critical survival categories for the price of a gas station coffee. Now let's talk about the single highest value per dollar item on this list. It's sitting in the pool section where nobody looks when preparing for collapse. Calcium hypochlorite, sold as pool shock. A 1-pound bag costs about $6 and can purify roughly 10,000 gallons of drinking water. Read that again. 10,000 gallons from something cheaper than a fancy burger. This isn't bleach, it's the stable precursor. Knowing the difference decides whether you're drinking clean water or watching neighbors die from contaminated sources. The dry crystals store indefinitely if kept cool and dry. Liquid bleach degrades 20% a year until it's useless salty water. Pool shock doesn't. Mix 1 heaping teaspoon with 2 gallons of water to create a stock solution, then dose contaminated water at 1 part solution to 100 parts water. Wait 30 minutes. The chlorine rips open the cell walls of bacteria, viruses, and protozoa. You'll smell it. You'll taste the swimming pool tang. That's how you know it's working. It won't touch heavy metals or chemicals, but it stops cholera, dysentery, and typhoid, the killers that explode when sanitation collapses. Here's the psychological shift that actually changes your odds. Once you realize you can turn any creek, pond, or rainwater into safe drinking water, you're no longer chained to hidden caches or fixed locations. You can move, you can adapt, you can survive where others can't. While your neighbors are boiling questionable water over weak fires and still getting sick 2 days later, you're just dropping crystals and moving on. 1 pound, properly rationed, buys months or years of water security with zero moving parts, no filters to clog, and no batteries required. Pure chemistry and time. Steel wool seems mundane until you understand what you're actually holding. Skip the soap-impregnated pads. Get pure, fine-grade 0000 steel wool. $3 for a package gives you one of the most reliable fire-starting methods ever created. Touch a 9-volt battery to a clump, and the thin strand's high electrical resistance plus massive surface area turns current into heat in 2 seconds. You're suddenly holding a ball of flaming metal at 700 degrees Celsius. It works in wind, in rain if you shield it for the first few seconds, and in cold that kills every friction method. Pair it with batteries that last years in storage, and you've bought dozens of guaranteed fires. The fine fibers also clarify dirty water, so your chemical treatment works better. Plug rodent holes with sharp strands that discourage gnawing, scrub rust off tools, and even sharpen blades in a pinch. While someone else is desperately trying to create a spark with wet wood and numb fingers, you're producing flame on demand. Heavy-duty aluminum foil belongs in every collapse kit, but not for the reasons you usually see online. Yes, you can cook or wrap food, yet those uses barely touch its real power once you grasp the thermal and reflective properties. A tough industrial roll costs $5 and gives you 25 to 50 square feet that weighs almost nothing. Aluminum conducts heat 200 times better than air, making it unmatched at concentrating energy or bouncing energy. Picture this, you're shivering so hard your teeth chatter, burning precious calories just trying to stay warm, while the guy who dropped $300 on a sleeping bag is still freezing because he doesn't understand physics. Hang or curve a sheet of aluminum behind your fire, and every BTU that would have disappeared into the night now radiates back at your body, effectively doubling the warmth from the same small flame. When fuel is scarce, that efficiency keeps you alive. The same reflectivity turns the foil into a signal mirror you can shape to aim sunlight for miles. But the truly interesting part is water procurement in places where none exists. Imagine terrain with no standing water, temperature climbing past 90, your tongue swollen, lips cracked, every swallow feeling like sandpaper. Your last bottle is nearly gone and panic is creeping in. Dig a 3-foot wide, 2-foot deep hole, place a container in the center, stretch foil over it secured with rocks, then weight the middle so it forms a cone dipping towards the container. Solar heat evaporates soil moisture, it condenses on the cool underside, and drips into your cup. The water tastes faintly of dirt and minerals, but in an arid wasteland with zero other options, it's the difference between dehydration and another day of life. This is the exact moment that $5 roll becomes worth its weight in gold. Add improvised cookware, windbreaks, and even rust-free pot scrubbers from wadded foil, and one roll covers heat management, water procurement, signaling, and cooking. Here's something your grandmother knew that modern preppers have mostly forgotten. Cornstarch, $2 for a container in the baking aisle. Most see it as gravy thickener, yet it's a silent chemical multi-tool. Day 41, your crotch and armpits are raw, red, starting to weep clear fluid that stings with every movement. In a world without showers or fresh clothes, this is how infections begin that kill more preppers than bullets or starvation. Cornstarch's hydrophilic particles aggressively absorb moisture, locking it away from skin and stopping bacterial growth before it starts. A light dusting prevents the breakdown that leads to sepsis. But the application that can save your life in seconds is even more dramatic. The pan just went up. Flames are hitting the ceiling, orange and angry and spreading faster than you thought possible. Every instinct screams to throw water on it. Don't. Water turns a grease fire into an explosion that coats the room in burning oil. Cornstarch smothers it faster than baking soda by creating an instant oxygen barrier while sucking heat out of the fuel below ignition temperature. The granules do the work in seconds. It also works as dry shampoo, a friction reducer in dry applications, a paste to seal container cracks, and the soil additive that improves moisture retention for emergency gardens. One container handles first aid, fire safety, hygiene, and food security for the price of a coffee. Let me tell you about something most people walk right past without a second thought: Something so ordinary it borders on invisible, yet may be the most underrated force multiplier here. Dental floss, unwaxed. One container, $1.50, holds 50 to 100 yards of nylon line with 12 to 15 pounds of tensile strength. A thread thinner than a pencil lead can hold serious weight. You already know it can be fishing line that fish barely see, shelter lashing, gear repair, but when it's your femoral artery or a deep laceration and the nearest hospital is a memory, sterilizing a length and using it to suture becomes the difference between bleeding out in minutes and living another week. That's strictly last resort, life-threatening only, never for minor cuts, but its capability most people simply don't carry. The real genius appears in food procurement. Imagine checking 20 silent snares every morning, each one 4 yards of nearly invisible floss looped perfectly, while other survivors burn calories hunting with improvised bows and return empty-handed. 2 rabbits or squirrels a week means you keep muscle, stay sharp, stay operational. They grow weaker, slower, less dangerous every day. 80 yards lets you run 20 snares. That math turns a $1.50 item into sustained protein. Add trip lines for camp security, food bag suspension, and precise cutting of soft materials, plus the fact 3 or 4 containers weigh less than a candy bar, and you see why paracord can't compete on small-scale utility. When paracord costs $6 to $10 for 50 feet, dental floss rewrites the economics. Now we reach the final item, the one that feels like actual chemistry set territory, and makes you realize how much untapped power sits on ordinary store shelves. Potassium permanganate. Found in water treatment or first aid areas, sold for well water conditioning or foot fungus. $8 for a small bottle of dark purple crystals that deliver concentrated oxidizer capability across 4 critical areas. Add a few crystals to contaminated water until it turns faint pink, wait 30 minutes, and the permanganate ions rip electrons from organic molecules, destroying pathogens while also oxidizing iron and sulfur that make water taste foul. A dilute solution becomes a potent antiseptic wash for wounds and fungal infections. The vivid magenta color doubles as trail marking, cache identification, or emergency signaling. But here's where it crosses into territory that feels like cheating physics itself. Mix a small amount of the crystals with a few drops of glycerin or automotive antifreeze. Within 30 to 60 seconds, you get spontaneous combustion. No spark, no flame, no friction. The exothermic reaction generates enough heat to ignite even damp tinder when everything else is soaked. In a world gone dark and wet, the ability to create fire by mixing 2 liquids feels like possessing knowledge that died with the old world. One small bottle that doesn't degrade if stored properly replaces multiple specialized tools: water purification, fire starting, medical treatment, and signaling. 4 categories from crystals most people have never heard of. Here's what ties it all together: the pattern you need to burn into your mind. Survival isn't about owning the most expensive gear or the longest checklist. It's about understanding the underlying principles and then choosing the cheapest, most efficient delivery system for those principles. Petroleum jelly delivers concentrated hydrocarbons for both energy and moisture barriers. Pool shock delivers stable oxidation chemistry for water purification. Steel wool delivers reliable ignition through electrical resistance. Aluminum foil delivers thermal management and reflection. Cornstarch delivers moisture absorption and fire suppression. Dental floss delivers tensile strength and precision in almost zero space. Potassium permanganate delivers powerful oxidation for purification, spontaneous combustion, and antisepsis. Every single item costs less than $10, most under $5. Together, they solve water, fire, shelter, first aid, food procurement, and tool maintenance with almost no failure points. The guy who spent $3,000 on laser-etched titanium equipment now has heavier gear that does fewer jobs and breaks in more ways. When his fancy filter clogs and his electronic lighter dies, he's the one shivering with infected blisters, rationing dirty water, and watching his Instagram followers starve. You'll walk past the camping aisle with its overpriced junk, spend $45 and 20 minutes in the pharmacy, pool, baking, and hardware sections, and walk out calm. Your unglamorous Walmart bag keeps working because chemistry doesn't care about aesthetics, and physics doesn't need batteries. The collapse won't be survived by people with the best-looking gear. It will be survived by people who understand why things work and can adapt cheap, available materials to meet critical needs. That understanding combined with these 7 items puts you ahead of 90% of the people who think preparation means buying whatever has the most tactical looking packaging. The collapse doesn't reward the loudest gear, it rewards the quietest understanding.